My July haul challenge was going great, and then the middle of the month happened. Woof woof! Hey guys, it's me Marcus, aka the Maddogg, and we're back with another video. The first book that I brought shouldn't really come as a surprise to anybody who watched last month's haul, because it's none other than the Man of Steel Volume 3. It did recently feature me Where to Start Superman, so I definitely recommend checking out that video if you haven't done so already. I've heard that we only need one more volume to complete this run, and I've only ever really read the first part of this. But got this from Books Etc. for about 50% off, which meant that I saved about £19 on the cover price. And it was at that point that I found myself thinking how great it is that we can get these discounts. If we had to pay cover price on every single book that we bought, I don't know how many I'd be able to buy. And that's when I had the idea for this month's challenge. As you guys know, I've been doing a challenge each month just to make these hauls a little bit spicier, but for some reason people still think it's appropriate to ask me how much I make, where I get all my money from, why I still sound like I haven't gone through puberty. Okay, yeah, the last one's not really relevant, but the fact of the matter is that I've got my own way of spending money, and I do find ways to save as much as I can. So I thought this month's challenge would be that for every book that I buy, I have to pretend that I've spent the full cover price and put all the savings into some kind of pot. Originally it was going to be the case that I was going to invest all of that money so that I could then use the profits from that in a future haul, but not everything goes to plan, so just make sure that you keep watching this video. But with this Man of Steel volume, the difference between the price that I paid and the cover price was roughly about £19. So that went straight into the savings pot, and just fair warning, I'm going to be rounding up just to make it a little bit easier for myself. And then the next book that I picked up wasn't even one for me, but again it was from Books Etc. and I got a very healthy 50% off because it's none other than Sonic the Hedgehog, the IDW Collection Volume 1. This was mainly for Shadowcat. She's been working overtime trying to get me into manga, but as you guys know, I'm not a manga guy, although maybe I've got something planned for Halloween. But she's a massive Sonic the Hedgehog fan, and because of the fact that she is definitely real and I haven't just made her up for my own sense of self-worth, I know I needed to pick this one up for her, but then I realised that it's IDW and there's probably going to be about 40 volumes of this. But even though this is a gift, I still did factor it into my challenge because of the fact that it's money that I'm spending on comics. So the difference between the cover price and the price that I got this for was about £25. Then one of my pre-orders came in, and it was one that I was very excited for. I remember pre-ordering this when I was filming a video just because of the fact that I was talking about it. It's pretty much the last pre-order that I've got in the UK, but it's none other than the DM variant of Star Wars The Old Republic. Pretty whammy boy this is, and I've seen a lot of people already cracking this open and reading it and enjoying it so much. I'm probably not going to be too far behind. I think in around September, October time I am going to read some of the Star Wars Darth Vader stuff because I've really enjoyed the Kieran Gillen run and I want to continue with the Charles Soule stuff. And it's pretty much just so I can see if I should upgrade to the Omnibus. But I am very excited for reading this because of the fact that I do want to explore more of the Star Wars universe, because I've pretty much only watched the movies. And even though they changed the standard edition cover, and I think that one's pretty cool as well, I'm still just glad that this is in my collection. Because I had to pre-order the book, I got it for about £32 less than what cover price should have been. Then I was completely blown away by the generosity of somebody who watches this channel. He's been a supporter of this channel for a while now. I know he's donated in the past, and he's also let me buy books from him that have gone out of print. Of course I'm talking about Barath because he was generous enough to send me the Nightly News Deluxe Edition. Anybody who watched my top 10 Image Comics wheels knows that this was on the list, and I haven't seen this around for so long. I can't believe that you sent this to me, and I can't thank you enough. As soon as we get some merchandise up and running, there's definitely going to be some that's coming to you and your family. I'm really excited to read this one and see what Jonathan Hickman was like when he was at his early stages of his career, and I just can't believe that you've helped me to secure 2 of my Image Comics whales. He was also kind enough to just add another book to the package, and this is one that I've never heard of, but then as soon as I saw the title I was disappointed in myself because of the fact that I've never heard of it. And that is Murder Falcon from Image Comics. I can't lie, I love falcons. I've even got like a bronze statue of one that's in the hallway. And I love murder, so you put the two things together and all of a sudden it's going to be a great book. The cover as well reminds me of Bill and Ted for some reason, but I haven't heard of this before and I'm tempted to just jump into it blind. It's written by Daniel Warren Johnson, who did Wonder Woman Dead Earth, so I'm really excited for this one, and I can't thank you enough for just including it in the package. But the next book that I picked up for myself was one that I was surprised to see in stock because it's Vision the Complete Collection. But I have heard nothing but positive reviews about this, but at the same time I don't really know a lot about the story. It looks as well like this might be quite a quick read. I've heard that it's got some overlaps with WandaVision. Hopefully it's not just disappointment. But the difference between the price that I got this for and the cover price was about £11, so I'm going to add that to my pot. Another book that I picked up from Amazon because it showed it me in the checkout check out, and I'm weak, is none other than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the IDW Collection Volume 10. Now I've heard from a lot of people that these books are going to be evergreen, but at the same time they do tend to go out of stock. That means that there can sometimes be gaps in my collection, and then I remember when I was doing pull list that I saw that Volume 13 is due out soon, so I realised that I needed to catch up. If I remember correctly, this was about 50% off, or maybe even just a little bit more than that, which is a pretty decent price, and I didn't want this to be a situation similar to what I had with the Transformers books, where I didn't buy a few of them, and then all of a sudden there was 14 that I had to catch up on. I love the Ninja Turtles, I'm absolutely loving TMNT The Last Ronin at the moment, and this is a great series, one that I need to catch up on, so I'm really glad that this one's entering the collection. And just in case you're wondering, the difference between the cover price and the price that I got it for was about £21. Then from a good friend Scott and Phil over at Comic Airwaves, I finally bought myself one of their mugs. These guys have an amazing radio show that it's clear that a lot of work goes into, and I really wanted to show me support. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking out the channel, and the link will be in the description down below, and thank you for letting me pick one of these up. But it's not all about me, it just mostly is. So I decided to pick up for Shadowcat Sayuki the Resurrected Edition Volume 4. I don't really know too much about it, it's a title that she's reading at the moment and she does seem to be enjoying it. But again, because this was something that I was spending money on, the difference between the cover price and the price that I got it for, it was either £9 or £11. I'm going to check it when I'm editing, and then I'm going to put this up here. Or if I'm really not liking myself during editing, it's going to be up here instead. Then the channel sponsor Organic Price Books sent me an absolutely massive box of comics. And they've also got some amazing pre-orders on at the moment, so I definitely recommend checking them out. There's a link in the description, and if you use code WOOFWOOF, you will get $2 off your order. And a little secret between you and me, you can use that code as many times as you like. But the first book that JP was generous enough to send me was the Heroes Reborn DM variant. I missed out on picking up this title the first time, but then ever since doing my top 5 notable works for Jim Lee, I've wanted to look into this series. It's such an interesting period for both the characters and also for Marvel Comics as a whole. So I thought it was worth getting it because I was really surprised that this got a reprint, and I'm not too sure if they ever would do yet another reprinting of it. So I'm really excited to jump into this. I'm glad that they're doing a reprint at Onslaught because I did have to sell that a few years ago. And this is just an era of Marvel Comics that I'm very excited to jump into, and I'm thankful that JP would send this across to me. The next book in the box, and I just cannot stress how whammy of a package this was, but it's none other than Cult the Savage, the original Marvel years. Because as you know, I'm a massive Conan the Barbarian fan. I've been picking up every omnibus that they've been doing so far, but because of the fact that they didn't make an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie about him when I was very young, I don't have a clue who this character is. However, Savage Sword of Conan is a series that I've been enjoying most out of those two titles, and this seems to be one that's in the same style as that. It's in black and white and the art style's a bit more graphic, so I am very excited to jump into this series. And I don't know, if you do want to see a video that's comparing Cult and Conan the Barbarian, maybe some stuff with Red Sonja, let me know in the comment section below. And the last book that he was nice enough to send across to me was one of my most anticipated for the first half of this year. And if you haven't seen the video where I talk about my most anticipated for the second half of 2021, you can watch the video that I uploaded a few weeks ago. But the book that I'm talking about is none other than the Justice League New 52 Omnibus. Of course you knew it had to be this one because the New 52 is my jam. I love this series. It's got beautiful Jim Lee art, it's got Jeff Johns front and centre on the writing duties, and I recently reread the Aquaman run that crossed over with this title. I cannot wait to revisit this. I am getting a little bit nervous because of the fact that I haven't seen Flashpoint anywhere over here in the UK, but you know, I'm going to talk about that a little bit whale watch, so make sure that you're subscribed. But I do hope that they follow this up with a volume 2, and JP, if you're watching this, thank you for sending this across to me. It means a lot, and just thank you for always supporting the channel. But I don't really like taking people for granted, and if someone supports me, I always like trying to find a way to support them back. Similar to you guys, I don't just want to have an affiliate link to Organic Price Books, there's that discount code so that you can get $2 off your order. And in case you've forgotten the 3 seconds since I last mentioned it, it is Woof Woof. So I want to pick up some books from OPB to show me support, and the first one that I picked up is the Madman Volume 1. These are the new library editions, and I've heard that there's meant to be about 6 volumes of this, and I'm in for that. And I can't lie, I read the title and I wondered if this guy's my actual owner. But I'm very excited to read this. It's been one of those titles that I've heard people raving about for years, but I've never really had an easy way to pick it up. It seems like now that's going to change, and I'm really glad that this is entering my collection. And the difference between the cover price and the price that I got it for was about £22. The next book that I picked up was one that I was eagerly waiting for, and it's Death or Glory, the Prestige Edition. It's written by Rick Remender, and considering how high profile of a creator he is, I don't really hear a lot of people talking about this series. There's a lot of buzz around Low, Deadly Class, Black Science and Fear Agent, but this seems to be the one that might be a bit underrated. But that depends on how good it is, this because I haven't read it yet. Still, I like that it comes in this recommended format, and I'm very happy that I'm adding this to my collection. And I'm also adding £13 into my savings pot. And the last book that I picked up I only knew about because a lot of people told me about this when I was doing my pull list. It's a complete blind buy, and I'm pretty much blaming everybody who commented on that video if I don't enjoy it. It's Ether by Matt Kint. Or is it pronounced Ether? I'm never too sure. I wish some books had like a button so that you could press it and it would pronounce the title for you. I know a lot of people love Mind MGMT. It's one of Comic Bound's favourite titles, but for some reason I just still haven't brought it. But this looks like a really interesting book from what I've seen. When a lot of you guys were mentioning it, I decided to have a little bit of a look into it, and it does look like something that's worth a read. I've heard it's a little bit out there as well, so I do think that I'm going to have to crack this open when I'm in the right mind frame to do that. But I am just really glad that this is entering my collection. It's another beautiful Dark Horse title. Then something else that I pre-ordered came in, and I'm not taking any blame for this one. I am 100% blaming Omnibus Comics. He keeps getting in steelbooks, and over here in the UK we have to wait for somebody to import them over, so it's a bit more rare over here. But it made me realise how much I want these 4K steelbooks, so I love him, but I'm not happy with him at the moment because in the end I had to buy the Lord of the Rings, the 4K Trilogy Collection Steel books. I don't really know what the official title is. I have not watched the full Lord of the Rings trilogy in years, but it is one of my favourites. It's just that it's such a commitment because it's about 13 hours long. However, what I love about these is that it comes with both the theatrical and also the extended editions. And I can't wait to pretty much never watch the theatrical and only watch the extended. But I think it's long overdue that I revisit this series because I remember watching it as a kid and then watching it about 4 years ago, and I just think it's something that I need to go back to. I also love as well that when the theme song comes on, I always try to sing the title along with the timing of it. I'm not sure if anybody else does that or if it's just me. And as well, this has a really nice smell to it. Like between takes then, I just kept sniffing it because it smells so nice. But Shadowcat's also a massive fan of the Lord of the Rings, but she also really appreciates The Hobbit. I watched the first two, I wasn't really in love with it, but still she pointed out that I do need to get the Hobbit trilogy to go alongside that. But I'm still blaming Omnibus for this one, so if you're watching this, I'm not happy with you at the moment, but you know, still love you. Sometimes the hype that you bring into something that you're watching or that you're reading can be the reason why you don't enjoy it. It might be the case that I see it a little bit differently now, and just seeing how beautiful these cases are, you know, I kind of need to give it the benefit of the doubt. So these 6 movies all look really great on my shelf together, and I'm glad that these have entered the dog pound. Something else that I picked up for myself that isn't comics but it's still going to enter my collection is the Dino Charge Black Ranger from the Power Rangers Lightning collection. Admittedly, I'm not sure if I'm going to buy all of Dino Charge, but I know that this was an exclusive that was limited to a few retailers. I'd rather have this and then eventually have to sell it than to maybe miss out on it and then have to hunt it down. I do love the designs for this team, it's just do I want to commit to getting even more teams? We'll see, but either way, I'm glad that I picked up Black and I got it for a very good price. Coming into my final couple of books now, and this next one was an absolute steal. If you watch my recent Double Dipper skip on the Cosmic Ghost Rider, you know exactly what I'm talking about because it's the Cosmic Marvel Universe by Donny Cates Omnibus. Now I know a lot of people weren't happy with this one, but I got this for £12. So I managed to add £71 into my savings pot for this month because of the fact that this has just got a little dot in the top of the book. For some people that's a deal breaker and I understand that, but this is for my collection and I'm okay with that. What I wasn't okay with was paying £60 for a book that's this thin, especially because of the fact that we're not sure if there is going to be a volume 2. I feel like there might be, but it's not something that's guaranteed. I thought that that was a price that I really couldn't turn down, and when I went onto Amazon, it was the last one that they had in stock. It was from a third party, it wasn't from Amazon directly, but I'm still happy that this is entering the dog pound and that I didn't have to pay a ridiculous price for it. But this is the part where my plan just fell apart because as much as we try to control everything in our lives and we budget and we plan out what we're going to spend, some things in life just happen. I had a very unexpected expenditure, more unexpected than half the books that I brought this month, and because of that it means that I do need to be a bit more frugal next month. So instead of investing the money that I saved, I thought it'd be more sensible to use that money on next month's haul. So this money up here is all that I can spend in August. So you know what, I've already got next month's challenge lined up and you guys already know what it is, so you can see if I fail or not, and admittedly I really need to succeed in it. But despite that, that wasn't every book that I picked up this month, because if you're on my Instagram you know that recently I asked if I should upgrade to the Absolute Editions of Y: The Last Man. I've been rereading this recently because it's a review that I've been excited to do, and I've realised just how much I love this series. I've had the 5 oversized hardcovers in my collection since they were printed disappointed, and I told myself for years that I don't need the absolute editions. I've always felt like the art isn't exactly groundbreaking or something that I need in a bigger format, and I was happy enough with this collection, but then I remembered that when I was in university, I lent this book to somebody and they did accidentally spill a drink on it. They offered to buy me a new edition, and admittedly I probably should have took them up on that, but I remember saying that this is a book that I always want in my collection, but didn't realise that over time the pages go wavy, there's some discoloration in it, and this is one of my favourite series. And in the same way that I might buy a 4K edition of something that isn't going to look like it was filmed yesterday, I realised that I wanted Y: The Last Man in the best format that I could find it in. And at the same time as me wondering if I should upgrade, Speedy Hen had a 15% off when you bought stuff through the eBay page, so the books ended up being about 50% off. And then about a couple of hours later they just cancelled the order. There was no explanation and they didn't give me a chance to reorder it, and it was at that moment that I realised that I did really want this series in Absolute Edition. So I buckled and I bought volume 1 and volume 2 from a seller, and I got them for about £43 off the cover price each, so add that to the total. I do love this series, it's something that's always going to be in my collection, so why not get it in the absolute best format that I can find it in, no pun intended. I'm excited to do my review, it's going to be one of the first things that's coming out in August, and I hope that you're all looking forward to it as well. I'm so excited for this show, and I just hope it doesn't disappoint me, similar to what I felt when I watched The Walking Dead. But this to me is Brian K. Vaughan's magnum opus. It's been a few years since I read Saga, so admittedly maybe I can't compare too fairly there, but I'm pretty confident in saying that this is a high caliber series, and I know that some people don't like it. Not really going to change my opinion. Like, that's something that I always love. I like when people go, I don't like this and I don't get why you do. It's not like I'm all of a sudden just going to throw it into a fire and pretend it doesn't exist. And this reread's just proven to me that this is always going to be a book that I'm going to come back to. But you might be wondering to yourself, why The Last Man came in 3 Absolute Editions, so why do you only have 2? And that's because the Speedy End mess meant that I didn't manage to get volume 3 in time. But my amazing girlfriend the Shadow Cat managed to pick it up for me, so I'm very happy to say that I've got all 3 volumes of Y: The Last Man in Absolute Edition. This is always going to be one of my favourite series of all time, and I'm glad that Shadowcat managed to complete this set for me, and I am glad that this is entering the dog pound. So those were the last books that were entering my collection for July, and I can already tell for August I've only got £323 to spend. And I know I'm saying only, that's not me trying to make anybody feel bad if you don't have that much to spend on comics. It's just I remember the last time that I had to stick to a budget, it was quite difficult, but I also did manage to get quite a variety of books. And this challenge has just helped me to realise how much we do actually save as a result of these discounts that we get on websites. So it's also made me grateful for what we have got at the minute, because it could be a lot worse if we did have to pay cover price for everything. But that's my haul for this month, and I'm hoping that you've had a good July as well. If you have, let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, even though it's a little bit more frantic than usual because I'm filming this during my dinner at work, give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't like this video, why did you get this far? If you want to support the channel, it's greatly appreciated. I've got a tip jar over on coffee, and you can also use that code WOOFWOOF over on Organic Price Books. Not sure if I've mentioned that enough already in this video, but while you're here, why not check out one of my other videos? I recently did a Who Are the Dark Avengers, and I also did a review of Harleen. But until next time, whenever that may be, just make sure that you stay safe, stay reading the best books that you can find, and stay mad all you dogs. Woof woof! See you at the next video.